Are you
It's okay. Yeah. Cut.
David, what's the biggest misconception people have about bankers?
That we just want to say no. Great question. Another great question.
Hello, I'm Jojo, the stylist.
And my name is Erika Herrera.
And welcome to the Power Pair Podcast. On this season, we will be talking about finance.
And our first guest is going to be David. He's the VP of Business Development at Freedom Bank.
Now introducing our first guest on the Power Pair Podcast Season 2.
Hello. Thank you for the invitation. My name is David Arispe. I'm a Vice President in Business Development for Freedom Bank.
Nice to meet you, David. So tell us, how did you get into banking?
How did I get into banking? You want the long version or the short version?
I want the juicy version.
Yes.
You want the juicy
Yes,
version?
give us
Talk
the
about
juicy-
yourself. Yes.
I'm going to tell you, it started off when I was a migrant. You know, my parents, I come from parents that were migrants, and, you know, during summers, you know, we would travel to Ohio and, you know, work, right? Labor work, you know, picking tomatoes or picking pickles or whatnot. And basically, when I got my first paycheck when I was 15 years old, you know, I walk into my first banking center, right, with my first paycheck. So, you know, I was already, you know, cloud nine, right, and ready. But I walk into this banking center and I get greeted, you know, the teller line, you know, greeted me, the manager, and, you know, walking in there and just seeing these individuals, you know, dressed up, look very educated and everything, you know, cash my check. And I'm a math person. I really love math, right? So it was something that from that day on, I told myself, you know, I'm going to make it happen, right? You know, instead of being out in the sun, right, but being inside the, you know, the aircon, you know, you know, I told myself, I was like, I'm going to do everything that I can to put myself in the best situation so I can achieve my dream. And here we are, you know, several years later, or decades, right? I'm 42 years old now, but yeah, this is where I'm at, and this is...
That's amazing.
That's great.
Full circle,
Yes.
being able to help and do exactly what you saw at that age, which was your prime. And knowing that I want to get into this, I want to change my future. I want to help people feel amazing when they walk in the doors and they hear us all say, "Hi, welcome to." And, you know, it's a great experience going to a bank. Would you like anything to drink? And then we're talking about money. Like, who doesn't like money?
Who doesn't like money? Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yes.
David, what made you specialize in business clients?
Great question. Ever since I started in the banking industry, you know, it's something that, you know, it amazed me, right? Individuals starting to trying to live their dream, start up their business, right? They had a plan, they had a vision, you know, and it's something that really caught my eye because I saw it, right? Their passion to start their own business. So, you know, slowly but surely, you know, I started up in the teller line, you know, running transactions, and every opportunity that I was able to speak with a business client, I would try to uncover and get to know them a little bit better, right? So just, you know, the passion that they have for whatever they're doing, right, is something that really caught my eye and made me realize exactly where I wanted my career to end up. And so basically the passion for it is, you know, and getting to know a lot of the business clients that were in the banking industry at that time, or me stopping by at a suite and get introduce myself and them telling them my story. I mean, think about it. You know, an individual that's just starting off, right, and they're by themselves, to see them flourish and getting their first employee, hiring their first employee, right? Right? Or getting, exactly. Yes. I'm telling you, I mean, for me, I mean, that is the joy that I get, right? From seeing an individual, like now they need payroll. Now they need, you know, merchant services. Now they need credit cards. Now they're buying vehicles under the business name. It's amazing. And that's something that I really cherish.
Nice.
I love how intrigued you were, and you wanted to digest exactly what they were going through, and you wanted to be there for the ride. That makes it so personable.
It does.
And I think that makes a great bank, and it makes a great business overall.
Yeah.
But that's something that stands out against and amongst all the other ones.
And then creating that business relationship with, your
Absolutely.
bank, it's amazing.
It is.
Yeah, so
It
every
is.
time that that I would get in front of a business client, it's amazing, right? To be there for them and give them the banking side of it, the financial side of it, right? Notifying them like, hey, that we're here to help you out, right? And we're here to give you, because I know a lot of people out there feel like maybe my banker doesn't want to help me or whatnot, right? Or they don't take their time to uncover. Getting to know these business clients really, really, takes a person to identify exactly what they need, because every business client needs different solutions, right?
Yeah.
And different products.
Yeah, you get to learn their background, because not everyone knows about finances. And I mean, something for me in the very beginning, it was very hard understanding finances in business. But when I had that initial personnel or person in the bank industry or in the financing industry and giving me that, guidance towards that, it was amazing. Cause
It's like a sense of comfort.
yeah, it is, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing when it comes to finances. I'm like, okay, I see money, I see great money, and I work hard for it, and but you never
You're
know.
grinding all day.
Exactly.
This is a different field, but having
And then getting that business aspect of it and knowing how to control your funds and where to invest it and how to grow it and so
Yes.
forth. And they guide you through that. It's definitely rewarding.
It is.
Yes. So David, tell us, what do you enjoy the most about helping business owners, especially local business owners, seeing businesses grow in our environment, in our town,
Right.
city?
yeah.
Well, you hit it right on the dot. Watching growth, that is something that it just for me it excites me, right?
Yes.
Because you start off with one suite, right, and then seeing them get their second suite or second or third suite, right, or getting payroll, getting employees, right, or financing their own commercial property, and then Airbnb it, or
Yes.
doing all this other stuff, right? So watching them grow for me, it's like no other. I like it because I know from the beginning it wasn't an easy road. There was a lot of obstacles, right, that you have to jump in order for you to succeed, right? So the grind, right? I know they had their lonely nights. I know they had their late nights, and it's not easy. As you grow older, now you put family, right? You have kids, it's not easy to do both,
balance
right? To
it.
balance it, so you really have to have that support from individuals. So, getting the right banker, getting the right bank that understands what you're looking for or what you're striving for is very important. And once you find it, there's no end to it, It becomes the American dream, and that's really what you want, and that's what you want to strive for. So, get yourself
Perfect.
your
Love
client.
That was
love
great.
that.
Yes.
Like
Love
watching your
it.
children grow up, watching your clients
Yeah,
grow
from their
into
first
better
steps
business.
to their now eating their meat.
David, what's the biggest misconception people have about bankers?
That we just want to say no. That's what I think. I think
Yes, yes.
some individuals go
You
in
didn't
there.
approve it. It was
Exactly. Yeah, it's your fault. You're the one that told me. No, but I think them believing, that we're the ones that want to say no. We want to say yes to everybody, right?
Absolutely.
But we need to be structured,
Yeah.
and this is what we're hopefully this comes into play, right? Because we do need to get those individuals informed that it's not us. It's like we have to be prepared for exactly what we want. So I think that's, the misconception of what people, see us and be like, oh, they just want to say no. That's what I think.
And I want to piggyback off of that because I feel like just because there's a no doesn't mean that it's a forever no. It means that we can go and change and adjust and restructure, remodel whatever business plan it is, and then come back. Is that something? Is there a certain amount of time that they have, or what does that look like?
I agree. I mean, time frame. In some cases it can take 3 months. In some cases it can take 3 years. But the thing to know is have a plan, right? Don't give up on yourself. Like, we might be in this situation now, but that doesn't mean that we're going to be in the same situation in 6 months, a year, or 2 years, right? But again, that's why I always say, hey, it's okay. right?
Yeah.
We might have gotten a no now,
Yes.
but in 6 months or a year, we'll be better off. And
Absolutely.
everything happens for a reason. You know, that's how I feel. You know, I'm a man of faith. So if something happens and they say no for now, hey, let's create a plan and let's put ourselves in a better situation for the next time that we apply.
Yes, I love that. David, when you look at a business, what do they need so that they can get funded?
So they can get funded. I mean, what do I look for, or
Yes.
the documentation that
What
is required?
documentation? What are you looking for? They're walking in fresh, they're green. What would you tell them? This is what we need to structure before I put it to the next step.
Understood. Yeah, basically it's almost straight across, right? Your basically like last 2 years of income tax returns,
Okay.
right? If we do not have the last 2 years of income tax returns, we will require maybe the last one, and then your P&L, which is profit and loss statement, right? So, you know, and a couple of statements, right? That will give me like some type of information of your financials, right? Your personal ones also, because you got to get a clear picture of the individual, right?
Okay.
You know, personal and business, right? Because there's some individuals that have 3 LLCs or 3 companies,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So we need to get a clear picture of everything, right? Who's managing it, right? The cash flow, the debits, the credits. Make sure everything aligns, and making sure that you have the capability to take on the payment, right? Or what you're asking for, right? Because at the end of the day, you know, we try to help out everybody, but we need to make sure that the individual understands of, you know, how to manage their business, right? And how to manage their debits, how to
Agreed.
manage their credits and stuff like that.
Yes.
So basically the last 2 years of income tax returns, their P&Ls, last statements would help out. But at the end of the day, you know, it's the individuals.
As well, what makes you nervous about thinking of maybe they might not get approved?
Honestly, I do not get nervous, right?
Yes. You stay pretty positive throughout the process.
Of course, yes, because, you know, not everybody was dealt the best circumstances, right?
Yes.
You know, sometimes they get into so much personal debt to get their startup business going, right?
I agree.
So their debt to income becomes
Yes.
pretty high,
Yeah.
right? Which a lot of individuals don't understand. They feel like, hey, it's separate from the business.
Yeah.
No, but it's a clear bubble, right?
That's under that umbrella.
Yeah, exactly. So regardless that you get everything through the personal side, it still is going to affect your business side, right?
I agree.
So I don't get nervous. I try to explain myself as much as I can. That way we can get a better, clear understanding and put them in the best situation, right?
Yes.
And maybe the solution that they're looking for is not the right one for them at that time, right? But later on, you know, a different product, a different solution might be the most beneficial for them.
Yes, I love it. You're expressing as well that, you know, that might not be the best solution then, but in the future, there is a possibility that, you know, you're able to go further within, you know, banking or finances and so forth.
Correct.
So I love
Yeah.
that. Yes.
Absolutely.
And if I can get that clear to my client or the individual, right? Which a lot of the clients become my friends, right?
Yes.
Because it's good to have a financial guy there next to your side because you can
Yes.
just call
Oh,
him and be
sure.
like, hey, this or that came
Yes.
up. You know, so I try to be, there for everyone.
David, what are the top 5 things that a bank is going to look at to be able to finance a loan?
To finance the loans, I call it the 5 C's, right?
Okay.
Which is collateral, capacity, actually I have it written down, capital, collateral, conditions, character, and capacity.
Nice, nice.
Nice,
Okay,
yes.
I love that.
And I have
so
a
the
quick,
5 C's.
Yes, I have a quick question too. So if a business were to open up today, what is something that you would recommend them to start doing now so that they're ready in the next 2 years?
Great question, great question. So, well, kudos, right? Because you just separated or registered your business, right? Either
As
with
an
the
LLC,
county, exactly,
yes.
with the county or with the Secretary of State. So that's a great start, right? So basically, open up yourself your checking account, and if it's possible, if you have the capability to open up a savings for the business, that would help out also,
Nice.
right? But to start off, I would tell you, you know, based on your credit, right? But I would tell you, open up a checking account for your business, right? And then if able to, right, and once I uncover this, if there's an opportunity for you to obtain something that's going to be beneficial for the business credit, which is most of the times our business credit card, then that's a great solution for you to start establishing credit for your business.
Nice.
All right.
And I know some of our watchers even have a question too, are they still capable of opening a business account under a DBA and a LLC? Because I know those are two different, certifications for your business.
That's
yeah.
a good question.
So I feel like, they've asked me, individuals have asked me like, well, can you still open a bank account? And I say yes, right? Because you can.
That is correct. Great question. Another great question. So this is just my way of thinking, and this is what I tell my clients, right? The assumed name certificate is with the county, right? So you go register it with the county, right, at the courthouse, right? You put the name of the business that you want, right? Make sure it's not taken, right? Because a lot of people go and register it without knowing if that name's already taken. So you want to make sure that it's not taken first, right? But it's cost efficient, right? Because if you go to the courthouse, you get the assumed name certificate, you fill it out, you go to your notary, right, or a notary, and they notarize, right? And it's a 10 years. So it's registered for 10 years. So you have to do this once every 10 years, right? Then you go to the county, they register it, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's like around $22, $23, right? So basically what I tell my clients is like, okay, is this something that you're trying out? Or is this something that you're going to do forever, right? For long term, right? Because why am I going to tell you to establish an LLC or an organization, right? That's going to cost you several $100s, right? If you're just trying it out, right? So basically, in some cases, I'll tell them, go register it as a assumed name certificate with the county, right? And I'll sometimes help them out, if that's what I'm here for. So I'll help them out, and of course, we're just printing out the document, they fill it out. But if it's something that they're experimenting, right, I'll tell them, go do this. And then once they start seeing, right, that it's something that they're passionate for, then I'll tell them, okay, go to your CPA, go to your accountant, now transition that to an LLC, right?
I love that because you're also watching out for them. You're not wanting them to spend the big bucks until they know that is something that they're going to do. And so they have an easy step into it and they can get their LLC later. That's
correct. And the assumed name certificate, just to add on, right, for the people watching, the assumed name certificate, a lot of people tell you, use your social security number.
Yes.
Right. In my case, I always say, hey, EIN is, from my understanding, free.
Yeah.
So what's an EIN, right? An employee identification number, which is like a social security for the business. Right? So I always tell them, why use your social, right? Use your EIN. It's a different entity, and work on establishing credit.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
All right. So now I kind of want to know, how can a business start to accumulate credit?
Accumulate credit. Good question. Another good question there. But
that's a good question.
It is. It is a lot of good questions, a lot of information. But basically, the best resource or the best solution that's out there that I feel is a business credit card, right?
Okay.
Now, it's a great solution when used properly, right?
Correct.
Because that solution, in most cases, right, they give you so many months with 0% interest rate, right?
Yes.
So it can be 12 months, 18 months. So if you're starting, right, and you want to purchase a mirror, you want to purchase some type of inventory for your business, right, just make sure that we're able to pay it off, right? Once those 12 months comes around, or those 15 months comes around, or there's 18 months or whatnot, right? Just be very, informative and know exactly of what you're doing, right? But that's what I think, that's a great solution for anybody that's starting their business to start off with, so they can establish the credit.
I love that.
Yeah. And for our watchers out there that, a credit card is a great way to, start your business credit. but what if you can't get accepted for a business credit card? What can they do then? Because I know there's a lot of individuals, myself included, that in the beginning it was really hard to financially be able to make that initial step, because everything that was made was by sacrifices and working and sweat, blood, and tears. And now, growing into being able to get a credit card, how can we help our watchers, be able to grow into getting an initial credit card, a business credit card to be exact?
We do. Here in the Valley, I feel like there are so many amazing small businesses that are coming up, and sometimes they can't apply for a business credit card. Is there another way that they can start to build that credit without having to get a credit card? Do you recommend anything else?
Right. So basically, everybody can apply for a credit card, right? But are we going to get the answer that we want, right?
Right.
No.
And in some cases, it's no, right? So that's where the banker should uncover why was it not approved, right?
Exactly.
And in some cases, or in the most cases, right, it's because of the managing member or the representative or the owner of the bank, of the business, sorry.
Right.
Yes.
Right? So we need to look at their credit, right?
So that's where we go back and we have to analyze their personal background, correct?
Right, correct.
In finances. Okay. Nice.
Because as long as you have your credit, your personal credit, established, right, and you're paying on time, you got several accounts open, think about the credit card like this, right? And it's a question for your audience also, right? How many tires do you have on your car?
4.
4.
95%.
Got 8.
Not the semi-truck.
95% of
Yeah. The other one, babe.
95% of people, that's what they say, right? Hey, we only have 4, but we forget about the extra until the emergency happens, right? Until the emergency happens, right? Yeah.
I do call it BMW roadside.
Right. So some of the clients and some of the business owners, they're like, hey, we don't need it, right? Or whatnot, but it's better to need it. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, right?
That's true.
So think about it like that. So
That's
always
true.
have your extra, have yourself a credit card, right? If it's possible. If you do not get approved for the business credit card, right? Let's go back and see why it was not approved, right? And then see your credit, right? And again, if there's something that's affecting your credit, right, we need to tackle that first before. But again, it's going back to what we were talking about, right? Having a plan.
Yeah.
Don't just say no. Don't just blame your banker, right? He just doesn't want to say no.
Why doesn't he want to approve it?
Exactly.
Yeah, it was his fault.
Yeah, exactly. Have a plan. Understand him, and we for sure later on it's there's going to be different circumstances that we're going to get the answer that we want, and that's why we're here, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I know for me myself, my stepdad is a CPA, and he was always like, no, don't get a card. Don't get a card. And it wasn't because of the business. It was because of me. He was like, no, I don't want you to have a business credit card. So when I finally got it, I was like, I'm not going to tell him that I have it. And he does my books, right? So
You just see swipe. What happened here?
He went to Southwest. I'm like, I'm putting away money so that I can fly. You don't understand. But what I'll tell clients or the guests is that as much as I don't, put it on auto draft. Because number one, we get busy. So as long as that baby's on auto draft, you're great. Pay it off every single month. So you do have to look at it. And get a card that's going to help you with your family.
Yes.
Like Southwest, it was my best one because I have kids. So we always flew. One person was for free. So it's me and the 2 kids. One person was free. And then on top of that, I was accumulating so many points. I think I took them to the Caribbean's completely free because of all the points. And then on top of that, we get the A-list, right? And there are so many, I talked to different business owners out there. Mine never gave me 0% interest for a certain amount, but I was accumulating points. If I didn't have the kids, I would say go for the one that you get money back. Like American Express gives you the money back in a check. So you spend X amount, and then they send you a check at the end of the quarter.
Yes.
Beautiful. What are you going to use?
But there's a big annual fee for that one.
Yes, yes, but $250.
Yeah,
Hey, if you're
you
sending
can
me
do
back,
it. Yeah.
$1,200. I'll take that $250
Yeah.
once a year. You know, it
That's
depends.
true.
And so
Yes.
you have to know your numbers. So you have to know how much volume you're doing on your spending, and then how much you're actually going to get in return.
Yes.
Those
I
are the
agree.
things, you know.
Yeah.
I remember oh my gosh, for the last 4 years, I think, during December. Jojo, what comes in all the time? And I'm like, shoot, I have more of these.
Oh, the bracelets.
My wine bottles.
See.
So every year,
The
I have to
subscription,
hit,
yes.
I have to hit a certain amount, and it's like you have to spend $130,000 a year or something with Southwest,
Right.
and then you continue to get your points. So you sign up for like the wine club and the this and the that. But at the end of the day, it works out for us because we give wine to our clients. I'm like,
Yes. Then you're able to push
hey,
it out.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I agree.
So, you just have to do research on which
Yes.
card is going to be best for you.
Hey, well, I might need some more information after this.
There you go.
I need that one.
I'll get Southwest.
Yes.
And we'll both use it.
Yeah, I have American, so yeah.
And that's
Period.
perfect, just the way that you say it, right? Because that solution works perfect for you, right?
Yes,
But
I love
Jojo
it.
here might be looking for something different, right?
Yes.
He might be looking
Yes,
like, hey, I'm
yes.
going to make this big purchase, right?
Yes.
And he's looking more for 0% interest rate,
Yes.
right?
Exactly.
So it's just
Exactly.
basically what you just said, right? There's tons of credit cards out there, right? It's just uncovering your need and your want, right? What solutions best fits your business and yourself.
Yes.
And I think you'll be in good hands once you get that one. You'll be perfect.
David, so when is it beneficial for a business to open a line of credit?
When is it beneficial? I mean, if you have everything aligned, right, that you've been established for a year, over a year, your credit, your personal credit is there. You've established some type of business credit for your business, right? I think everybody should have it, right?
Yes.
The business line of credit, right? Because what does it entail of, right? So the business line of credit is actually like you being your own bank,
Yes.
right? So you can go in there, let's just say the business line of credit, it's $20,000, $30,000 or whatnot. That's what you can go and retrieve, right? From the bank, right? So basically you go into the banking center and you're like, hey, you know what? I want to transfer $10,000 to my business checking account, right? Because you're going to make a big purchase. And you do the transfer, and then you end up paying the business line of credit, right, as you go. And of course, always read the disclosures from your financial institution. That way, you know the fees that come with it. Because, for example, in some financial institutions, right, they only charge interest rate on what you borrow, right? But let's just say you do not borrow nothing. You just have it there. Well, they might charge you a yearly fee. Right, so you, as long as you're aware of that.
Similar to
Similar to
Okay.
a card, right? Like an American Express card, right? Unfortunately, the business line of credit, you just got to see those, make yourself aware of what you're getting, the solution. Inform yourself, right? Is this the right solution? It goes back, right? Having the right solution for yourself, right, where you're at. But I feel every business should have a business line of credit just in case of an emergency, just in case they want to expand. I think it's a great solution to have.
Absolutely.
And so when is it considered, or when can someone open a business line of credit? Like, what do you have to
does it
have,
take?
and what does
Right.
it take
Yeah.
to open a line of credit?
Most,
Because I'm ready.
right? Yeah, there you go. Right. Good. Well, basically, we'll ask you for like the last 2 years of income tax returns,
Okay.
right? They'll ask you for all the income tax returns, right? If you
So
own
the loan process,
one of the
all
loan
of
process,
it.
everything,
Okay.
right? And from
Okay.
there, we can analyze it. Right? We analyze the whole picture and see what you can sustain. Of course, for us, our main goal is to give you something that you can sustain, right?
Correct.
We're not going to give you something, or we're not going to provide, right, a product or solution that, it might not be the right one for you, or the amount, right?
Right.
See.
So, yeah, I would think like, you get all the documentations, which, I could provide your clients or the people watching, right, of what documents are requested when applying for certain, because for a business line of credit and a business credit card, they're different,
Yes.
right? So there's more documentation on this one than this one. And even if you want to do a land development, right, or an investment property, they'll ask for a little bit of things that are a little bit different.
Yes.
But at the end is the individual, the managing member, the owner, that it falls back on to get.
Okay, David, so say that one of our listeners wants to go in and they want to do a startup loan. They are thinking they're going to have to get some working capital. They may want to invest in some equipment. What would you recommend to them? And I know that we kind of went over, let's get a credit card for the business and all of that, but what if they really can't get approved? Is there another solution, something else that they can put in the mix that's going to assist them for their first few years?
Got you. So in that situation, again, we look at why wasn't it accepted, right? Or why wasn't it approved, right? And depending on of why it didn't, then we can just pivot there and then go. One thing that I really like, if they have the capital and they have the funds, is open up a CD, right?
Okay.
And then just borrow against it, right?
Okay.
Because that really stabilizes it of what they can use, right? So let's just say, for an example, you have 10,000, they're just there, right? But your main point is you want to get approved for a higher line of credit or a higher loan or whatnot, right? So what do? Well, you open up a CD, pays you some interest rate, right? Then you borrow against it.
Okay.
Now, when you borrow against a CD, and to let everybody know, they might add, depending on your financial institution, they might add some percentages for borrowing against your own money, right?
Right.
But let's stay focused on the end game, right? What is the end game? It's to establish a business credit, right? Because again, we might not get what we want the first year or whatnot, but at the end of the road, we're gonna get approved. So it might just be a small hurdle, but just give it a little bit of time. And I feel like the solution of borrowing against your own money is something that's very beneficial to establish your credit. And hopefully by the next year, you'll get an approved credit card for yourself and business lines of credit and other solutions that might benefit your business.
I love that you said that, because I know that in 2022, I got a CD on my own funds. What I looked at was how much I was going to be accruing as interest, and then how much I was making off of the CD.
Gotcha.
And I still came out with a positive 3%. And I think that that's something very beneficial to look at, knowing your numbers. So I got a letter in the mail from my bank that was like, oh, we've got this promotion going on and blah, blah, blah. So I went over to my bank and I said, look, I've got X amount that's just sitting there. What I want to do is put it into CD, and I want to establish. And the reason why is because in 2020 I bought the Beamer, and I wanted to buy it under the business against EJ. I'm sorry if you're watching this. I was like, totally against that. But they couldn't do it under the business. They had to do it under me, because Erica was the one who had all the credit. Erica had the credit, not the business. And it should have been the other way around. My business is my backbone, right? Erica's just the employee. Well, I'm not an employee, I'm an owner. But my business is the backbone, and I wanted to build that up, because one day Erica's going to be completely separate. And that business needs to be able to do its own thing. It's its own baby, right? So I went and I said, this is what I want to do. I think I was getting I was getting charged, and I'm going to try to remember this correctly. I was getting charged, it was making 5%, they were charging me 3%, so I was at a positive 2%, something like that.
Okay.
And I was okay with that, because after I just took it out when we bought the building, and I think I had made, it was papitas, it was maybe 7 or 8K, but it had been in there for years, right? And I was okay with that, because it was more than I had put in, and it was slowly growing, and it gave me business credit. So now Somabel has business credit, but it took years. And one of the main things that I always tell clients who are like, how did you do this? It took me years of planning. It's not something that I'm like, oh, I wanted to own a business and I'm going to be great from the beginning. It is like you have to have a 5-year plan and then a 10-year plan.
Correct.
Once you get to the 5, then you can start having fun with like, now I can get this and now I can get this in business. But the first 5, you're putting back into that business as a revolving door. Yeah. You're not making really a profit at all. You're going to eat and you're going to sleep, but you're not going to make a profit. And then from there, then you can start to grow, right? And so I think that don't get discouraged when you're in the beginning stage, because that's normal. We all go through that. And plan. Think about your plan, dream about your plan, pick it up in the morning again, because that's the only way you're going to get through.
Eat about your plan.
Yes. Yes.
David, so talk to me. What financial reports do you wish that business owners were aware of? Or should they be prepared of?
It's a good question.
Yes.
Well, one, like on the personal credit and the business credit, like if you have an EIN number or a social security number, right, you're able to retrieve your credit once a year for free, right?
I love that.
Yeah, you should. A lot of people, I feel like they're not informed of being able to do that, to access their credit,
didn't
right?
know that.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's other apps that might help you out, right? You know, credit. You got Credit Karma out
Credit
there.
Karma.
But yeah, I use it more as a guidance tool, right? Just so I can know who's pulling my credit, who's not, and stuff like that. But to tell you the truth, that's something that's very informative, right? It tells you what's under your name, right? What credit cards, what vehicle loans, what you have under your name, and by you being just aware of it, right? Just you being aware of it, that's like you're already ahead of the game because you're informed. Because a lot of people don't want to see it. You know, they just pay it on a monthly basis and they feel like, hey, I can afford this, I can afford that, you know, and they just keep on doing it, right? But I feel that at one point you need to be able to print out, right, your credit report, look at everything that's under your name, right, and know, right, inform yourself, right. And sometimes we have to look at the mirror and talk to yourself, right, and tell yourself, hey, you shouldn't buy certain things, right.
Stop with that.
But especially here, I feel like, and I speak for myself, right? I don't know how other individuals feel, right? But I've spoken to myself and be like, you know, you don't need those. Like, you don't need those shoes, or you don't need to travel at this time. Even though I like to travel, right? There's sometimes that, you know, I'm not able to do it, and you shouldn't do it, right? So as long as you're aware of it, you know, I feel, you know, with the credit report, I think that's very informative for you to print it out once a year.
Yes.
So you can
Nice.
get
And does business and personal loan kind of work on the same scale of like looking the same? Like, say, you know, our credit score is a 700, 800. Is a business credit score the same way, or?
Yes and no, right? Because if you're the owner and you're the managing member, right, for a personal, they're always going to look for you because you're the representative, right?
Correct.
You're the president, right? You're the president of
The CEO,
that company,
the CNO.
yeah, CFO, everything.
Don't get me started.
What are all your credentials? Let me list them there.
So regardless that you have, let's just say you don't have good credit, right? Let's just say you have a low credit score and your business has an 800, right? That does not give you 100% that you're going to get approved for a loan or a business credit card, right? So basically, if you're the representative, and the same vice versa too. Also, if the personal credit score is at 800, but the business is lower, right? You might get approved, but you're not going to get the interest rate. We have to be aware of what solution we're obtaining, right?
Yes.
And I just want to give your audience a little bit of information, right? I've gotten situations that individuals with a credit score of 620, right, compared to, so let's just say they apply for a mortgage and they get approved. I'm not saying it's 620. We're just talking numbers just to talk about it, right?
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, like, if a couple is there and their average is 620 credit score, right, and they're going to apply for a $200,000 home. And the way the interest rates are right now, let's just say they add 3% to the prime rate, right? Which right now is at 6.75, or sorry, that's for another. But let's just say they do apply and they get approved and everything. If they would have taken a little bit of time just to get their credit a little bit stronger, they would have gotten a better interest rate. So basically, if you can save 1%, 2%, 3% on your credit, that's huge, especially on that amount, right? So it's not always about the self for individuals, right? Or whatnot. I always tell them, like, are you sure? And I try to do the loan amortization, that way they can see exactly of how much they're going to end up paying at the end of the term, which 25, 20 years, 30 years. I mean, if you really see it, it opens up a lot of eyes, right? And then, like how much interest rate you're going to get charged, how much is going to go to the principal, the payment, how much it's going to the principal, how much is going to the interest rate. And I feel I always do that, right? That way the person can make the best decision for themselves and for their family, right? Because at the end of the day, we're here for a while, right? That's it. I want to be able to see you at HEB with my family, you with your family, and we're able to still say, hey, hello, that's my banker, and say hi to each other, right? Not just go around each other and not have that connection, right? So, just making everybody.
No, David Medical. The interest is going to be this. Now it's this. Yes.
That's such a strong point, because a lot of times we get into these payments and we know, I can totally handle this payment, but do we really know what you're actually paying? So they sold me that car and I only paid $60,000. Really? Did you only pay $60,000? Because your interest ended up another $7,000 or $10,000. But when you're talking about like a $200,000 mortgage, then you could be paying another $50,000, and that's hard. That it's still your money. You still have to work really, really hard for it. So knowing your numbers and then getting into a loan when it's actually the time is so important, because then you can get into a loan and not be. I feel, is it bad if I say raped?
No.
But it's true. Okay, David, we are going to do the mid-episode fire shots. So it's just kind of like quick, fast, yes or no, which one you like better, okay?
But where are the shots?
Wait, Jojo actually.
Water shots.
Right here. You get them all right, you get a shot. Okay, so cash or card?
Card, paid responsibility.
Love it. Okay, coffee before meetings, yes or no?
Absolutely.
Okay, spreadsheets or handwritten notes?
Spreadsheets.
Okay. Biggest financial red flag?
Good question. When the financials don't add to the story.
Okay. Yeah. I like that one. Business plan or passion?
Business plan. Passion starts it. Planning sustains it.
Love that. Love that. Okay. Save first or invest first?
I have it written. Build liquidity first, then invest strategically.
You have to save before you can invest. Got it. Business credit card or line of credit?
Depends on the purpose. Different tools for different needs.
Okay. Rent or buy?
Oh, it depends on the individual, but I would say buy.
Love it. Early bird or night owl?
Both. But, early.
All of it. You gotta be awake 24/7, babe.
Nah, I think early bird.
Early bird? Okay. Love that.
We have some funny fire shots. It's going to be, how have you ever wanted to tell someone, please don't buy that?
Have I ever wanted to tell somebody?
Yes.
Absolutely. But the banker in me says, like, let's look at the numbers first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alrighty. What's the craziest business ideas you've ever heard?
I've heard some crazy ones, right? But I've learned to dismiss, any idea too quickly.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Sometimes the idea that sounds crazy, makes more sense once you understand it.
Okay. That makes sense.
the market and the numbers. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes. Alrighty, the money move of the week. What's one financial move every entrepreneur can make this week that would improve their business?
Oh, I like that one. One move that they can start to make, like a habit, like build a
Yes.
habit that they can rely on that's going to improve their business long term. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Learn how to say no on products, right? Learn, like, if it's a want and you don't need it,
It's a luxury.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say no to that Louis Vuitton, girl. Say no to Gucci. Say no to red bottoms.
That's so wow.
It is. Especially when it elevates your uniform for work.
I know.
It's definitely investment.
It's an investment.
Yes, it is.
Oh my God.
do you need it
It's a
or you want it?
It's a need. Fine, it's a need.
We have to wear something on
Yeah,
our feet.
we have to look
be
good.
barefoot.
Yeah,
It's a sanitary thing.
Yeah.
Oh my
They
gosh.
take you more seriously.
Sometimes we gotta be bargain shoppers.
Yes.
I
Oh,
know.
yeah.
Okay.
Pre-loved.
No,
Is there
I love that.
Is there any last minute words of advice you'd like to give our audience before we sign off?
Basically, there is resources out there. You just gotta, ask. You just gotta tell yourself, right? Go into a financial institution or go talk to your CPA, your accountant. Don't be afraid to ask, right? There's resources out there. There's a lot of information out there that you can get from resources that are out there. Like myself, I want to put myself out there and give as much of information that I possibly can for the community that we live in, right? Because I feel, being educated and giving information and getting yourself educated and more knowledgeable, I feel that that's something that we would need more of down here.
I agree. Please call 1-800-NEED help.
Well, we really want to thank you. Jojo and I have this passion for our community here. And
Yes.
we want to give every opportunity to the small businesses that are out there who are trying to grow, who don't have that financial backbone or support yet. But in season 2, they're going to be able to hear from persons like you who can help them through these milestones. And if they want to get in touch with you, we will definitely put their information down at the bottom. But thank you from the bottom of our hearts for joining us today, having some good laughs, but most of all, educating the RGB
Yes. About finances.
about finances.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us today here on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Well, no, thank you for having me here. I just want to thank the audience, and I do want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, for having me here and for another day here being blessed.
I love that. I love that.
Yes.
I do want to say, I'm going to piggyback off of that. I think that God has gotten all of us through such amazing
Yes.
struggles that maybe we wouldn't have been through. And so I really admire that you thanked God at the end of this
Yes.
segment.
And continue walking
Thank you,
in
Lord.
faith during, within your business,
Yes.
and that will definitely take you far.
Absolutely. Amen, amen. Bye, guys.